Hello everybody, I am Wirru and welcome back to my cosplay workshop. This is the first ever episode of my new series called Wirru Breaks Down a Cosplay Project so you don't have to. In these episodes, I am going to use my experience as a cosplay competitor, as a judge, to have a look at the projects that you have sent to me, that you told me you want to make, and I will go through my thought process on how I would personally tackle that costume, going from head to toe, identifying the easy parts of the costume, as well as some of the challenging parts of the costume, and hopefully go through some of the pitfalls that you might face while tackling the costumes for yourself as well. At the end of the episode, I am going to give the costume a difficulty rating so that anybody else who wants to tackle the costume knows what they're signing up for when they go for it. This series is completely powered by your requests, so if you have a costume you want to make and you think you'll get stuck at some areas, please don't hesitate to leave me a comment and request which costume you want me to break down next. In our first ever episode, we have a request from the lovely Toledo Cosplay, and it is this waifu over here. Damn! The character's name is Sesshouin Kiara from Fate Grand Order. So she's completely waifu character design, and there is already some problems that I can see with this character design that will give a lot of cosplayers some challenges. I'm super excited to get underway. Let's get analyzing! Before we begin, let me just do a really quick plug. If you love learning cosplay crafting with me, visit my website at akwirru.com and grab one of my books from the store. There's also a free archive of all the tutorials I've made on social media for you to look through, and a gallery full of pretty pictures as well. Also, please consider becoming a supporter on Patreon, where for any amount that you choose to pledge, you'll access all of my YouTube videos 30 days early. Plus, you'll automatically get a tutorial booklet and pattern of each part of a cosplay that gets complete. Thank you so much for letting me plug. I hope you enjoyed the video. Okay, first things first, I can already see a lot of physics problems that a cosplayer will have to solve while tackling Sesshouin. And first of all would be the huge ass horns and also the wiggly hair that she's got going. And secondly, it's her boobs! So, if you have ever seen a female body before, this is not how clothing will work around ginormous boobies. In particular, have a look at her under boob. So she's got her bikini that goes all the way around her boobs and then goes under her boob, and then you can see a strap that it's fastened to the back, and the strap doesn't go from the boob, it goes from the under boob. And then under her boob, she's got some flaps coming out like it's one piece of fabric. So if you've ever seen a real woman in a bikini before, you will know that the fabric will go over the boob and not go under the boob and then keep going. Unless you've got Spider-Man grade boob sweat. Boob sweat going on that's so sticky that it will grip the fabric to your underboob so strong that you can still fasten a bikini from the underboob without peeling the fabric off. That is not how the fabric's going to work. Another physics puzzle that I can see from this costume is that she has a really huge circle skirt thing hanging from her hip. And if you can see her hip, she is not wearing much at all. So that circle piece of fabric is going to be pretty heavy because it's lined as well. You can see it's a different color underneath. So it's a lined circle skirt. It's ginormous. And it's going to be heavy as shit. And it's just hanging onto her, thong that she's wearing there. So that's going to be a physics problem. But we are cosplayers and we are problem solvers and we are going to make this ridiculous waifu into a reality. The cosplayer who requested this, Toledo Cosplay, is actually a dude and he wants to actually achieve this cosplay as a crossplay. But I think this waifu's design is so far from reality in terms of how fabric actually works on a curvy body shape that it doesn't matter where you are on the gender spectrum, the illusion creating aspect and the physics cheating aspect of this costume is going to be the same for everybody. So here we go, let's tackle this. Allow me to introduce you to my ultimate weapon when it comes to analyzing projects like this, my doodle pad! Behold this piece of fine art that I have drawn for you guys to explain how I would personally solve some of the physics problems of this costume, starting from the head. So I'm looking at the head, and pretty much her headpiece is actually quite simple, unless you want to make the epic proportions of her wig and not just let her wig hair flow down onto your feet and actually achieve the squiggly tentacle look that it's got in the art, so that, you know, when somebody takes a picture of you at a convention, they don't have to add too much to it in Photoshop. And how I would actually do that is make the headband first for the two horns, the big ass horns to sit on, and that's just going to be Ava foam horns. The headband could just be a cheapo headband from a dollar store or something. And here is where I would add to the headband. The headband would go on top of the head, and then I would add a second headband that would go around the back of the head. And the reason for that is, if I was going to make this costume, I'm not going to waste hundreds of dollars on a heavy-ass long wig and make it into a squiggly mess. I would actually go around it and make these squiggles out of 2mm or even 1mm thin EVA foam and get the shapes going with wire, so I don't actually have to deal with wig hair at all in those squiggly parts. If you want to get really clever with this, you could even make the hair removable from this second headband for transport. So these foam hair squiggles are just going to be fake hair, yeah? You just paint them as the color and not actually have to deal with hair at all. And at the top, you can just put some industrial strength velcro on the underside of the headband and the top side of the squiggles. Then after that, for the wig, I would probably just get a shoulder length kind of short wig so that I don't have to deal with more hair than I need to. So this fringe would just go down your forehead like this, and then the side bits would go down your neck like this, and then the back is where you use the hair from the wig to hide the headband. And all the ornaments that are on the horns that you can see in the reference picture, you can just add them on after you've got the base structure done. So that's the first physics puzzle and how I would solve it. Two headbands that is combined into one. One headband goes over the top of the head, and one headband goes to the back of the head, and you just combine them together so it's kind of like a headband helmet frame thing, and then you hide the second headband that goes around the head with a bit of wig hair from the wig that you've got. And the wig that you can use is just a shoulder length one for the sole purpose of achieving the fringe and also the side bangs there. Yay! Moving on to her body. So her body is really ridiculous. So the first thing I want to talk about is the sleeve. This is the easiest part. It's just two squares sewn together and have an opening for the arm and the sleeve. And for a heavy sleeve like this, I would probably personally put a elastic on the elbow so it doesn't keep slipping down. And then she's actually got some hand details on the hem of the sleeve and also on her circle skirt as well, and that can just be hand painted or appliqued on whichever floats your boat. Then comes the real puzzle of this costume, which is her mysterious underboob sweat clothing that is going on. So I think whether you've got boobs or not, you will have to get some sort of illusion going, and I would suggest having a chest plate for the boobies. For fake boobies, you could go online and buy a drag boobie, or you could use my tutorial on how to make your own silicone boobie plate, and those boobie plates will end on the shoulder, on the neck, and just under the solar plexus, and that would all be one piece. And then once you've got the chest plate going on, you can just decorate that with her ridiculous bikini thing that goes all the way to the under boob. And then you can just like sew the bikini permanently onto the boobie. So every time you get into this costume, you can just put on those boobs and you don't have to worry about the fabric coming off your titties and making you have a nip slip at a convention or anything like that. Now, something super convenient about this costume that I really appreciate is that she's got two giant headdress flaps that go in front of her shoulder. So that is super convenient because we can hide the two seams that is from the fake boobies if you choose to use fake boobies. So this is super convenient and you can just use those flaps to hide your illusion. After that, it's the lower body that really mystifies me, yeah? As I said before, fabrics actually really don't work like how the artist has drawn this waifu. If you have a piece of fabric that goes over the top of the boobies and then continues onto the rest of the body, it is going to stretch over the underboob instead of go into the underboob and then come down your body like that. So to create this illusion, I actually would make the entire underbody, starting from the solar plexus, all as one piece. So essentially you're making a very high pant, like really high pant. So you're just making pants and it goes all the way up to your boobies. And then once you've made those tight pants that go all the way up to your boobies, you can just decorate that with all the white patches, the pink patches, and then the leggings on top of it. This way, you're not only going to solve the physics problem of the underboob cloth, you're actually also going to solve the physics problem of having this huge ass circle skirt hanging off nothing but a thong. Because you know, this giant ass circle skirt is not going to be able to hang off just a bikini bottom. So by making a flesh colored pant that goes all the way up to your boobies, you're making an illusion of being nearly naked, but you're not. And you have a whole heap of extra fabric and strength to hold onto this giant circle skirt here that, you know, if you just wear a thong, it definitely will not hold all of this fabric. Another advantage of doing this entire lower body as a naked pant illusion is that for the penis wielders out there who need to tuck, this will be easier to tuck into rather than having like just a tiny triangle piece of fabric to tuck all of your junk into. And if you're a vag wielder out there, I'm almost certain, I have not ever had a hoo-ha myself, I'm pretty certain that having high pants will be more comfortable and warmer than a tiny triangle piece of fabric that barely covers your hoo-ha. Once you solve those physics problems to achieve that unrealistic waifu-ness, the rest of the project is actually pretty simple. Having a look at the design, I think the only parts that you really need to look out for is the order of operation, like order of steps that you do in your sewing. As you can notice, all of her costume is lined. So the underside of her headdress is orange, and the underside of her circle skirt is pink, and the inside of her sleeve is pink also. So you just gotta make sure you paint all of your fabric, do all your applique before you put the garment together. You gotta make sure you have an extra copy of the pattern so that you can make 2 copies of the costume so you can line the thing really nice. And then you gotta make sure that you sew the lining to the costume before you do the nice trims that is all around the circle skirt. So with all of that out of the way, it is time to give this project a difficult rating. I actually think this costume is quite difficult for everybody, whether you have a curvy body that is similar to this character or you have a flat body. It is equally as difficult to just get that proportion and the physics with which the fabric behaves around her unrealistic fabric boob sweat sticking body design thing that's going on here. Really don't know what's going on there, but it's not how fabric actually behaves on a human body. And I think the difficulty of this costume very largely depends on how accurate you want to go with the proportion as well. I think I would give this project a difficulty level of C+, meaning that beginners will struggle with it if they want to be photo perfect, but it's still achievable for most beginners at a satisfactory level. And for advanced costumers, once you get over the initial hurdle of getting the physics to work, then the rest of the costume is actually very technically easy. So that is why the difficulty level is at C+. And that was it. I broke down Sesshouin Kiara's costume from Fate Grand Order, so you don't have to. I really hope you had fun seeing my thought process of how to break this character's design down for cosplay, and I really hope it was useful to at least one of you out there. Let me know in the comments which character's design you would like to see me break down next, and I would like to thank all of your amazing support on Twitch and Patreon. The people to my right are everybody who is pledging more than $5 on Patreon, and the lovely people to my left. Special thanks to Isabel, Jonathan, Chad, Sylvia, Halolelo, Anna Messa, Carly, April, Natalie, Mary Dignan, and Just Believe Cosplay. They are the amazing patrons who are pledging more than $15. Thank you so much for all your constant love and support for making my work possible. I will see you in another video very soon, but meanwhile, please stay crafty.